Ford has very quietly been raising the price of the Maverick nearly $4,000 in literally the past 2 weeks. At some point, this is just gouging. Welcome back to All Cars React, y'all. I am John, and I've been a fan of the Maverick for a long time. And we need to remember, when it was released, this was a under $20,000 compact truck with a hybrid engine. Now, they've been raising their prices, and along the way, they've cited supply chain issues and things like that. But this came up not because of a press release by Ford or even really it stumbling out into the news. It was pointed out to me by one of my viewers. So a little bit of background here real quick. I just released a few days ago a specifications comparison between some of the new EV trucks that are supposed to be coming out, the Slate, the Tello, and the Alpha Wolf. And I compared them to the Maverick because for the size, for the interior space, for the bed, and for the price, the Maverick is a better deal than any of those EVs. Specifically because the cheapest of those EV trucks is going to be about $28,000, and the Maverick base price was $23,920, as I recall. Well, I had a comment from a viewer, which I took as being rather snarky at first, because it was like, where the heck can I find a Maverick for $24,000 when the base price is $28,000? Well, kind of caught my eye, and I assumed what they were looking at was the base price of the hybrid, but it caught my mind. Now, to the viewer, I want to say thank you for making that comment because it got me looking into this, but also I am removing your name just in case you want a little anonymity. You didn't give me permission to use it. So I did go look, and sure enough, if we go to the Ford website right here, pull up the Maverick, and there it is, $28,145 before destination. And of course, taxes, tag, title, everything else you have to pay when you buy a truck. Well, I began to wonder, I began to question myself, was I imagining things? So let's rewind here for a second. When the Maverick came out in 2022 model year, it was $19,995 for the hybrid. Now, this was right after COVID, so there were apparently supply chain constraints, and the hybrid was a lot more popular than Ford envisioned it was going to be. So they raised the price, and what they did was they made the base engine the 2-liter turbo and made the hybrid a $1,500 add option. So within a couple of years, the hybrid had increased by about $7,000. You could get a base level XL trim hybrid for about 27 and some change. And that was about how much a hybrid XLT trim was just a couple of years before. It's been pretty frustrating, and since used car prices remain high, it's been extremely frustrating for me. So here we are, suddenly it's $28,000, but it gets a little more insidious than that. So the first thing I did is I did go back through the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, to make sure I wasn't imagining things. And sure enough, if I go back to the end of April, the base price was $23,920 for the 2-liter engine. You did have that upcharge for the hybrid. But here we are live on the Ford website right now. It is May 11th. As I'm doing this, if we click build and price, we're going to build our own, an XL 28,145. Look at this, with the hybrid engine. So, okay, well, the base engine used to be the 2T, right? I want the cheaper price. It's more. Let it load. Scroll down. So the 2T, you get all-wheel drive. You get the 8-speed transmission. Look down here. $30,660. Let's go back up here. Well, wait a minute. How much is the hybrid? Click, let it process. $30,535. So do you see what I'm talking about here? Ford made the hybrid an add option, making the 2-liter the base for about $24,000 before destination. Now, within the past literally day or two, they raised the base price, making the hybrid the base, and the 2T is the upgrade option, which means it's jumped by $4,000. About $4,000. I went to the Ford newsroom to look for any kind of indication, and here we are. There's nothing. They aren't talking about it at all. It did make it into the news. If I look over here on Barron's, they actually say Ford is raising the car prices of the Mustang, the Mach-E, and the Maverick, and the Bronco Sport. Maverick is being built in Mexico, and so with Trump's new tariffs and tariffs on Mexican products, this is raising the price. So they've blamed supply chain constraints, and now they're blaming the tariffs, but the end result is you basically, after destination, cannot buy a Maverick for under $30,000. And they even say in their first quarter financial results that due to tariff-related uncertainty, the company suspends financial guidance. But the worst part of all this is after Ford came out with their employee pricing. They were giving employee pricing to everyone, and they really hyped it up. It was all over the news, and it was all over their website. And people want to say that sounds like a great deal, but then they quietly raised the prices on some other things. And we're not talking an insignificant amount here. We're talking that $4,000. Sounds to me like they're gouging their employees too. But here's the question, and we all know the answer. The Trump administration is busy negotiating with other countries tariff-related charges. If this is a boost because of tariffs, do we really believe that if the Trump administration writes a good agreement with Mexico, that suddenly this $4,000 is going to disappear? Absolutely not. They're going to pump this in to their bottom line and to the dividends they're paying their stockholders. Ford is here to make money, and their duty is to make money for their shareholders. But something's very wrong with this picture. We're promising you employee pricing. Look at how good we are for America. But we're going to do a little slipperoo over here so that we're going to raise the price on the hybrid a little bit, which is weird because wasn't it all the computer chips that were being imported that were the issue for the supply chain constraints when they raised the price of the hybrid before? But what we're going to do is we're going to do a little switcheroo with that 2-liter turbo and all-wheel drive, and suddenly it's even more expensive, making the hybrid the base once again, which means the price of the Maverick has gone up 50% since 2022. Less than 4 years. I don't know what inflation over the last 4 years has been, but I know my eggs have not gotten 50% more expensive, or my meat, or anything else. And certainly not some of the other cars that are out there as well. I like Ford. I drive a Ford. Well, my wife drives a Ford. I like the company, and I like that they do build in America. But this just feels wrong, and it feels a little shady how they did it all. They're not, and I think the reason they're doing it, I'm going to close with this, I think the way they're doing it the way they are is not only the business of, look at the employee pricing we're offering you, and then we're going to change this price over here, but we're not going to scream about that. That's just good business. But I also think it's to not piss off the Trump administration. They're trying to smooth the waters and just not make big waves saying, well, here's an announcement. We have to raise prices $4,000 because of the tariffs. I don't know. I'm just frustrated. Let me know what you think below, guys. Thanks for being here.